It Up with Tyson, Jay Lamar, and Simone. Talk It Up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk It Up. I'm so excited about today's show. Later on, we have a special interview with actor and writer Craig Wayans. But first, we're going to get into our segment, which is called Street Talk, where we get into our hot topics. So let's start things off with this story that I'm bringing to you guys about Kanye and Kim divorcing. So, you know, Kanye West, who's a rapper, and Kim Kardashian, of course, influencer. They've been married for about 5 or 6 years now. They have 4 children, and pretty much all of society, entertainment-wise, has been rooting against them. Like, they have been waiting on this marriage to end. And, well, it looks like that time has finally come as the two are separated, and it looks like they're headed down the road to divorce, with multiple sources saying that they need a miracle to save this marriage. What do you think?
Not a miracle.
Right, that's not good. And what sucks about it is that it's all public. We've kind of been able to follow the downfall of their marriage from beginning to end. I know that the whole situation at Trump's rally, or well, it was a Trump's rally, right?
It was a rally.
Where he kind of was talking about, you know, aborting their first child and all these things. I feel bad for her.
That was his rally, because remember, he was
his
running for
rally.
president.
Okay, yeah. So I think that she's stuck by him as long as she possibly could. That's just me thinking out loud. I don't know. I just feel bad for her. And him, too.
I feel like people were actually rooting for them in the beginning. You have 2 pop culture icons, pretty much, that are coming together to form this family. I remember when they had North, we were all like at the edge of our seats waiting to see what were they going to name this baby. They said North. We all took a breath. I was like, okay, we can roll with this. So I think a lot of times we were excited about Kim and Kanye. And then once Kanye, his bipolar disorder started to kick in a lot more frequent, he had a lot more like media scares, and he just started doing a whole lot in front of the camera. It kind of made everybody think like, well, Kim needs to get out of this situation.
Right.
I know we talk about a lot of times that the Kardashian family kind of has this quote unquote curse where they can't keep relationships and stuff like that. But I feel like in this particular situation, especially when there's children involved, Kim has to do what's best for the family.
I think when they first got together, you know, of course, Wendy Williams and a few others were basically rooting and lotterying on how long they thought this marriage was going to last. They also talked about the fact that when Kim and Kanye got together, remember there's a separation between Kanye and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Thus, they also alleged that Beyonce didn't want to hang out with Kim and Kanye anymore. So it just caused this whole wedge. So that's why I was like, you know, people have been low-key like, oh, this isn't going to work. It's not going to last. But they continue to have children. They continue to thrive. He was brought into and ushered into the Kardashian household. He was on the reality show. So he's been around, but it just doesn't look like it's going to continue.
Yeah.
No. And I saw an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where he was on the show, and Kim and him had this argument, and it was kind of about how much skin that she was showing, and he was just uncomfortable with it. And people then, I think, kind of started to speculate if things were okay, because the fight it wasn't pretty. And so, yeah, we've seen it all.
Well, you know, let me put on my relationship hat. Boom, it's on again,
Put
my
it on.
relationship expert hat. I feel like the downfall of their relationship happened years ago. I feel like it was made public when he made the statement in regards to him and Kim having a private conversation about possibly aborting North. I feel like those type of intimate conversations that can affect your children should not be something that you voice or talk about in public, especially you being a public figure.
Yeah.
So I think that was Kim's wake-up moment. I think that she talked to Chris, and she talked to Courtney, and she talked to the whole Kardashian crew, and they were just like, girl, you gotta get out of that situation. I know for me, I would not want to be in a situation to where my partner decided to make something so private public, especially an issue like that.
Yeah, that's a big one. You know, a lot of things you can let slide. There are a lot of things that you can be like, oh, it was a gaffe or something, but he had a lot of moments, like you said, from the stuff that he said with Trump, the stuff he said in the offices of TMZ. Remember, that was a whole scandal.
Yes.
He just kept having moment after moment after moment, and I think that will wear on anyone after a while. So I also want to talk about Ava DuVernay, who is a world-renowned producer. She's directed so many iconic things like, what is that? Queen Sugar. I mean, there's so many. I don't have her resume in front of me. Y'all can Google it. But she is also making headlines because she is starting a whole nother set of productions. Tell us more about this story.
Yeah, so she's been really involved in trying to make the industry more diverse and really focusing on inclusivity. So she has this new database, and it's called Array Crew. And it's basically a database to help people of color and women specifically get jobs in the industry. And she says that almost every studio here in LA is on board and they're using it and it's working. So I think this is a good thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I feel like Ava has taken the industry by storm this last decade. She's a phenomenal director. And so to see her want to reach back and help those, because, let's be honest, like Oprah kind of helped her, elevate her career. And, I think that paying it forward and bringing other female women of color to the forefront and helping them get to where she is, that's an awesome thing.
Oh, yes.
And we talk about inclusion all the time here on the show, and we talk about so many different writers and directors of all ethnicities and colors that are out here doing it. But I always think it's great to highlight and showcase people that are actively doing it on a consistent basis.
Yes.
And like you said, Ava, especially over this last, you said decade, but even we can make that like the last 4 or 5 years, you have just really seen her up her game as far as like trying to make Hollywood a little bit more diverse and include everyone, especially in her productions where she said all of her producers were women.
Yeah, so she was really trying to make sure that women were in the director's chair for every episode of Queen Sugar, which I think is amazing. I don't know anybody else who's done that, so she's doing it her way, which we love.
Yeah, she's sharing the spotlight as well as sharing the talent. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump into this other story, which I am so excited about because y'all know any chance I get to talk music with you guys, I get excited. LeBron James, he posted something on Twitter where he basically said that he is thinking about going into the music game. He's like, I want to curate a whole rap album. He's like, I'm not gonna jump on the album following in the steps of like Kobe and Shaquille O'Neal. He's like, I'm not gonna touch the mic. I just wanna curate that. What do you think about that?
I think it's smart that he doesn't hop on the mic. And he's honest. He said, I'm not going to do it to you guys. I'm not going to do it. But I like this idea that he's going with. It's similar to something that J. Cole has done where you get a bunch of great artists together on one album. He can't go wrong with that.
LeBron James, he's from my hometown, so I'm always rooting for him. He followed me to LA. He did.
Okay.
Anything that LeBron James touches, whether it's a basketball or something on television, turns to gold. He moved to LA. He had his show on HBO or on Stars. Both. And the Barbershop Talk, and then his series. So LeBron James is really trying to get himself into the entertainment industry, as we've seen so many other athletes do, like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan with Space Jam and so many other things. I think that it's smart, these people who have this huge platform, such as athletes, and they take that and they not only want to shine on the court, but they want to shine on television. And knowing LeBron James and the philanthropic things that he's done, such as opening up a school in Akron, Ohio, and doing so much for the community, I think that bringing different artists together is great for enhancing their platforms as well. So.
Yeah, I love this for LeBron because, as you know, how many times has he won the championship with the NBA? But in addition to that, he's had so many amazing productions. Like you said, he started his own production company, which has been killing out here in Los Angeles. And as a lover of music, which LeBron is, sometimes it's good to know your lane. Maybe you're not the singer, you're not the rapper, but I know what it's supposed to sound like. I know the vibe it's supposed to give. So the idea of him curating this, I love. So keeping it a music theme, we want to talk about rapper Meek Mill. And so for those of you that don't know, Meek Mill, he's had a kind of tumultuous background. He's been in and out of prison for various reasons. But more than that, he's just a real popular rapper. And the reason that he's making headlines now is because he made a Kobe Bryant reference in one of his songs that got leaked online where he showed a clip of it. And the part that all he said was he mentioned he wanted to go out like Kobe in the chopper. And of course, that is exactly how Kobe Bryant passed away. And so a lot of people, he got backlash from that on social media, and a lot of people are really coming at him for that. What do you think? Is it too soon to mention someone in a lyric like that?
I think it's a little bit too soon. I see what he was trying to say, and that's what sucks about this whole thing, because when you read it and when you hear it, you understand the gist of what he's saying. I don't think he's saying anything disrespectful, but I do think it's a little bit too soon, possibly. But how do you even gauge that?
Right.
I don't think you could put a time frame on it. I don't think it was appropriate at all. I don't think it's appropriate in 2021. I don't think it'll be appropriate in 2031 or 2041. Kobe Bryant was a legend who was loved by many. So even to mention his name right now, it's still a sensitive topic. It's only been a year. You know, his daughters, his wife, they're still going through this tumultuous situation, trying to figure out a normalcy that they really can't grasp yet. So for you to mention his name in a song, and especially to say like the way he went out, I want to go out like a chop, that's not appropriate right now. And I feel like Meek Mills is very talented. He's a great writer. He's a great rapper. I feel like he could have chose maybe a different lyric or said something different than that. Maybe I want to go out like Muhammad Ali. I want to go out like a champion like Muhammad Ali. Or like something like that, but not to say Kobe Bryant and then use chopper in the same sentence and then put it. It's a lot. It's too much for now.
Well, then that begs the question. Remember in 2018, Kanye West paid $85,000 for the picture of Whitney Houston's room where it showed, you know, the stuff that was in her room when she passed away. He bought the picture of that was sold to the tabloids. He bought it for $85,000 and made it the cover art for one of his artists, Pusha T's album. And there were a few people that were outraged, but not many people did anything to stop it, and thus here it is. And of course, for Whitney Houston's family to see that makes a mockery of everything that she's connected to. So it's like, how do you pick and choose when to be outraged and when not?
It's almost just safe to not do it. Don't even try it, because you are, for one, you're releasing your art to people who are of the culture who also love this person. And I think because of that, so many people are mourning these things still, and they forever will. I don't think anybody's ever going to be comfortable seeing that picture or hearing the lyric ever. Like you said, it's not going to ever get easier.
Yeah, if you're paying homage to somebody, why not do a picture of them alive? So if he wanted to pay homage to Whitney Houston, why would you do a picture of the hotel room in which she died in?
Right.
You know, if Meek Mills wanted to pay homage to Kobe Bryant, why would you not, you know, say something uplifting? I want to be a champion like Kobe Bryant. But to mention somebody's death or to take a picture of somebody's death and put it as an album cover, that's not responsible in pop culture. Yeah. And, you know, things like that, I think, even though I don't even know what would make somebody even think that that's a positive thing. Yeah. You know, especially Whitney Houston. Even seeing Whitney Houston's, the pictures from Hotel Room in a documentary, people that are true hardcore fans, like, it brings a tear to my eyes thinking about it. Yeah. But let alone, like, see it on an album cover, and you're going to see that forever.
Yeah, and it's like, where are the people that are, like, you know, trying to tell you how to keep everything together? Where's your publicist? Where's the art director? Where are all these people to tell you what's right and what's wrong? All of these people are nowhere to be found, apparently. So with that said, y'all, we have more with Talk It Up. Y'all keep it locked right here. We'll be right back right after this. Hey, yo, welcome back to Talk It Up. It's time to get into our very next segment, which is called Real Talk. And in this segment, we take a little deeper dive into some of these topics that have conversation that should live outside of this show. So the very first topic that I want to bring to you all and to the table is the subject on reparations. So there is a bill that Congress is looking to put forth that should pass that won't necessarily give the black community reparations, but it will present a committee to look into the idea of giving reparations. What do you think about this?
Well, considering the fact that they've been trying to do this for over 3 decades is a little worrying, I think, because why is it now a good time to do it, and why hasn't it worked in the past? I think that what the experts are saying is that because the Democrats are so for it, it's the perfect time to do it right now. But are reparations going to fix anything besides allowing us to pay maybe another month's rent or whatever it is? Right. I don't know.
Yeah. Joe Biden, when he was on the campaign trail, this was something that he talked about, and, you know, Kamala and him are very passionate about it. I too had the mindset of, okay, if you give us this money, is it going to change anything as far as social justice issues? Because that is the root of the problem right now. Like you said, giving us a little bit of money to pay our rent, yeah, that's fine. But what about the social justice issues? What about me feeling like it's safe for me to get pulled over by the police and not have to worry about my life and those type of things? Also, like, how much you gonna give us? Wipe away my student loan debt and we can work something out.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. So this whole thing, they're not even looking at giving the reparations. It's just setting up a committee to study where the reparations are needed in the first place. And like you said, this has been a conversation that the community has been having for forever and that we've kind of been talking about publicly for the last 30 years. And how are we just now only getting to the place where we're going to think about possibly maybe doing this? Like, come on, every other ethnic group has gotten some form of reparations. I don't even understand why this is a question.
Right, and I think that it's so much more than reparations and so much more than money. It's acknowledging what the reparations are for, which is supposed to be because of the history of the U.S. and slavery and everything. Why not acknowledge that alone has caused so much damage to society? I think that that's also what we've never gotten is like acknowledgement that it actually happened.
And isn't that weird though? Like even like in American history, they don't really touch on, I remember growing up, they didn't touch on slavery at all. It wasn't until I got into African American studies that they really touched on slavery. It's like something that they don't want to mention happened to us and they don't want to bring it up. But it's like it happened. It's a part of history. Let's go back to the very first president of the United States, George Washington. Like we can talk about slavery from that point forward. But it's like something that they just don't want to talk about. It's a sensitive topic. However, the discussion needs to happen and the acknowledgement needs to happen.
Yeah, and so with this discussion, they will decide whether or not there will be individual checks that will be sent out, how much, or will it just be giving back to the Black community, like building a community center, investing in education and infrastructure, all of those things. So we'll wait and see what happens from this committee.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
What would you guys like to see?
I would like to see all of the above because I think all of the above is needed and there's not one single thing isn't gonna work. One check to, individuals in Black community, that's not gonna be a fix-all. Sending it just to the community to build a community center or whatever it is they want to do with the community, that's not going to be a fix-all. It needs to be a collection of things. Yeah. So I go with D, all of the above.
I agree, 100%.
So
I agree as well.
Let's jump into, I try to squeeze a lot into this time frame. So let's jump into another conversation that's being had. This one is a little bit, if you can imagine, a little bit heavier than the conversation of reparations. And this one deals a little bit more with abuse. So there are a bunch of stories circling around. I'm going to let Tyler introduce this one where Gayle King is having an interview with an individual who was someone that got abused. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so FKA Twigs, who's a British singer and songwriter, she recently had this interview with Gayle King about the abuse that she suffered at the hands of Shia LaBeouf, who has been in the news recently for different allegations. And she was just speaking about what she went through. And the reason why she wanted to do the interview was to help other people who are going through it feel comfortable, to talk about it and to let them know that they're not alone. But what she was explaining, it was scary. And what I found interesting about the interview was the topic of red flags and how important it is to look out for those red flags. She said that they were there, and I'm assuming she just ignored them. What do you say about red flags, Jay Lamar, after you putting your relationship cap on?
Expert hat on. I feel like red flags are important. I feel like a lot of times people who are vulnerable and kind of want partnership ignore the red flags because they think they'll go away. And red flags do not go away. They stay there. So in this particular situation, if she's seen the red flags and had she adhered to the red flags, she wouldn't have went through the situation, but she did. And it's a very tragic and traumatic situation to go through. But I want to tell our viewers to make sure that if you're in a particular situation, especially something like this as far as abuse, and you really, really, really see the red flags in the beginning, get out of that situation. Get out of it quick.
So a couple of questions. How does one determine what a red flag is? And then also as we're talking about the Shia LaBeouf situation in Twigs, let's also, because there are other stories floating around that I didn't necessarily just want to shine on that story, so I'm trying to squeeze them all into one. So there's also the allegations with Dr. Dre and his April Jones, I believe his current girlfriend, and that whole situation, not to mention the allegations that Michel'le, who's a famous R&B singer from the 90s, she did a whole documentary. I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but it was shortly after the Straight Outta Compton movie, world famous Straight Outta Compton movie, where she alleged that rapper and producer Dr. Dre was abusing her. So there are just so many. And then also rocker Marilyn Manson, he's being investigated by the FBI right now for abuse. So it's a lot of abuse going around right now. So what do you think about this? How do we know what red flags are?
I think that that's the hard part about it, is gauging what's a red flag and what's maybe just a bad habit that someone is suffering with that they could possibly move forward and out of. The amount of abuse that's been happening lately, I don't know if it's, the situation where one person comes forward and then people just start flooding, and maybe that's it. I don't know, but it does seem like a lot lately.
So a red flag can be described as a behavior that makes you feel uncomfortable when somebody does it. In the beginning of any relationship or any partnership, if somebody is yelling at you and you don't like it, if somebody, is grabbing you or too rough with you, that's a red flag in the beginning that throughout the course of time, that behavior is going to only intensify because you have not either addressed it or you have not left that person. So a red flag, just to sum it up, a red flag is a behavior that somebody does that kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. And you should pay attention to those uncomfortable moments.
So what happens when someone says, oh, well, love is, if you don't argue in a relationship, like love, there's gonna be arguments. There's gonna be contentious moments. There are gonna be heated moments. And, some people say, oh, well, love doesn't hurt. There's so many little catch-all phrases that we use in society. So once again, how does one know when it's a red flag or when it's just, oh, well, he's having a bad day, or she is having a bad day today?
Toxic behaviors are not something that should be accepted or tolerated. Arguments or debates, I like to call them, happen in relationships. But if those debates and arguments lead to toxic things such as you physically assaulting somebody or you verbally assaulting somebody, that is a behavior and a red flag that you have to pay attention to in the beginning. A lot of people that have suffered from abuse, in the beginning of those situations, they remember those first moments of when that happened. And majority of the time, they wish they had left. Something kept them in those relationships, and more than likely, it was the manipulation of the person that was abusing them. But that's why I always preach to people about self-love, because if you really have self-love for yourself, you won't allow yourself to be in toxic relationships like that.
And there is a difference between arguing and disagreeing and insulting someone. Those are two totally different things. So with that, y'all, we'll be right back. We have a special, amazing interview coming up. I can't wait for y'all to enjoy this interview that we have with Mr. Craig Wayans. Y'all keep it locked. We have more Talk It Up right after this. Welcome back to Talk It Up. Our next guest is from the First Family of Comedy. He is a writer and producer. He's a writer for My Wife and Kids, as well as Scary Movie 1 and 2. Y'all give it up for the one and only Craig Wayans!
Hey.
What's up, Craig? How you doing, man?
I was trying to figure out a way to pop on the screen, like, oh! Hey.
That was just
that works. This works too.
So what is it like for you being a part of such an iconic family?
It's so normal. It's like it's weird to say it's so normal. It's like being from a family of cops or from a family of doctors. It's the same. It's just funnier at the dinner table, but it's the same conversations just with punchlines.
Okay, that sounds.
So when you worked on My Wife and Kids, which is like a legendary pop culture show that we all loved growing up, did you use any of your personal family experiences and put those into the show?
For sure I did. I used I always draw from realistic situations, and then I may expand upon them, but definitely pulled from real life experience. Except for the junior stuff, some of that was just like, all right, what? How do I see a teenage kid being? And I was like, oh, all of us are just at that point dumb,
Right.
in some aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've already established the fact that you come from the first family of comedy, a lot of stand-up comics in your family. Have you ever done stand-up? Have you ever wanted to do stand-up? What's your thoughts on stand-up?
Well, every Wayans has done stand-up. My Uncle Damon used to have a stand-up room in his house. So sometimes you just play around, but you've done it. Me personally, professionally, I think I'm going to lean on that later on in my life. Like right now, I enjoy a little bit of my privacy. And plus, with stand-up, you have to do the same act over and over and over again. And come from television, I'm used to scrapping it after a week. I'm like, all right, what's next?
Right.
So it takes a lot of patience and a lot of patience.
I bet. And you've worked on a ton of different projects. What would you say is your favorite of all time, as of now?
My favorite was Scary Movie because that's when I kind of got thrown into the pit. I was a rookie writer, and I had all these great writers around me that were, it was like 7 of us, and they all have written for Keenan on his shows, and I was just thrown in the pit. And I think I stayed with my own. I got a lot of things in the trailers. But it was such a fun experience because it's much like you have to hold your own. Someone pitches a joke. If you're teetering off after 2 or 3 days, you might not make it back to that room.
Ooh, cutthroat.
So we've seen your iconic family collaborate on A Living Color and so many other different projects. Does the second generation, do you guys plan on collaborating and putting some good stuff out there?
Yeah, I actually did a show with one of my cousins, with Damien, called Second Generation on BET. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote with my cousin Damon Jr. on his show, Happy Endings. So I stay work. That's my thing. I call myself the glue. I make sure I stay with everybody.
We have more with Craig Wayans right after this. Y'all keep it locked. More Talk It Up. Hey, y'all, welcome back to Talk It Up. We are here with Craig Wayans. Hey, Craig, Bertie told me that you are a dad, and with quarantine and everything going on, how has quarantine been for you as a father?
Man, it's been tough. I've been making the house kind of like the Cosby Show episode where we're trying to do like his first job, and I make him clean the kitchen and dirty it up, and we trying to do all of his first experiences. Like it's just me playing different characters pretty much around the house. Like, oh no, you have to learn driving. I'm gonna be your driving instructor today. So it's been pretty fun. I'm very hands-on, but this is just taking it up another notch.
Right.
How do you feel about being a dad and preparing for what's next, or the lack thereof, not really knowing anything else about the COVID and with your child? Like, what do you think about on a daily basis?
Well, I know there's going to be trials and tribulations throughout everyone's life, and we just take this as this is just another hit that we're going to have to persevere through and move through. We're in an age of technology, so I stay heavy on him on there are other ways of moving forward. You could start a company now where before it took so much more. You could go on Alibaba and get clothes and then sell them through your company. there's so much to do now that COVID is just, it's another thing that's out there. That's all we look at it as.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have talented uncles, aunts. Who is your favorite uncle? Like, I think that's what the people want to know.
Oh, and they all are my favorite. They're just favorite for different things. And like if I would just want to laugh, like where I'm just uncontrollably laughing, I'll go hang out with Marlon because he's gonna make me laugh no matter what mood I'm in. If I want to get great advice with a couple punchlines, I'll go to Keenan. He gives the most excellent advice. He's the blueprint. Then Damon with parenting, the show was a lot of things that he was going on in his life, and he shared it with the world. But I get personal episodes from him about things that happen with my kids. And then Kim is she's the heart of everybody. She whenever I feel any type of empathy or want to make any type of movements, it's her that does it. And if I want to go see a play or something, she's the really artsy one. And then Lil Damon, he's also, I call him Neo because he's a little bit of everything. And then just for fun, Damien, my cousin Damien, he's the ultimate fun guy. And then my cousin Shantae too, she makes me laugh and she puts me in the now of the world. Being one of the first lesbian comics to take a stand and be like, no, I'm lesbian and this is my life. I'm not going to switch it around or try to make it a gay joke. This is just my life. So she gives me a great point of view on a lot of things happening in the world. So it just depends on who, but they're all like my favorite.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, if you want to adopt 2 or 3 cousins, we right here waiting.
We right here.
It costs a lot to enter the family. It costs a lot.
Well, just go ahead and get our paperwork ready.
Right.
So another question, Craig, what do you do when you're not writing and producing and in the business? What do you do for fun? Like, what can people find Craig Wayans doing?
I'm usually out here trying to mentor these next up-and-coming comics and actors, trying to teach them more about just the entertainment side of the business. And you can catch me on Daddy's Issues. I do a lot of it over there, but I'm usually out with the guys, talking to them hands-on.
Okay, well, I want you to stay right there. We're going to play a game with you when we come back right after this. We have more with Craig Wayans. Y'all keep it locked. This right here is Talk It Up. Hey, y'all, welcome back to Talk It Up. We're here with Craig Wayans. So, Craig, I'm glad you stayed around because we want to play a game with you called Family First. And on this game, we're going to show you a picture of one of the members of your iconic family, and you tell us the first word that comes to mind with a little explanation for why you chose that word for that family member. All right?
Oh.
All right, cool. So we're going to start things off. Let's go. First things first, we got to start with Keenan. So Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Oh, Frenchie. I think like everybody else, I go straight to the living color when he had that red leather suit on.
Right.
Frenchie.
Okay.
And our second one, Damien.
That's my he's my I think energy.
Okay.
He's my energy. He helps keep the doubt away and all that.
That's good.
That was Damien, right?
Yeah, that was Damien. All right.
What about Kim?
That's the heart. She's the heart of the family. Anytime we go overboard with something, she lets us know, hey, that just wasn't right. Y'all should either apologize or y'all shouldn't do that.
Listen, Kim Wayans is hilarious. We need to see a little bit more of Kim. I haven't seen Kim in a minute. We're missing her like big time.
She's been doing a lot of dramas. She's been doing a lot of dramas lately.
Missing her. What about Marlon?
That's laughter. That's a lot of wise words through laughs. He brings a lot of wise words through laughs.
I bet. What about Damon?
Dad. He was on me growing up, making sure that I walked that straight line.
What about-
Well, all of them, they call themselves my 5 dads. But
What about Damon Jr.?
oh, that's Neo. That's the next. He has a bit of everybody. He's not only does he have word jokes, he has physical comedy, and he's a great-looking young man.
Okay, and what about Sean?
Genius.
Oh, wow.
Most of the movies that were done that were big hits in our family was because he thought of them.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that.
And Shantae.
Everybody be trying to sleep, and it's like, nah, that's the genius right there.
I believe it. What about Shantae?
Oh, evolution. She's the evolution of where comedy's going and the family. She's really great.
And last but not least, I think a lot of our favorites. What about white chicks?
Terry Crews.
Makes sense.
That's a good one. For sure. So, Craig, tell me a little bit about the show Bigger.
Bigger follows a woman on her journey through her 30s, being single and some not being single. It's just her relationship trials and tribulations. It's just about a group of friends from an HBCU that following their lives pretty much.
Oh, we love
a comedy
HBCUs
on
here,
it.
for sure. And you said that's on BET.
Yes, on BET. It's on BET Plus, and it's now on the channel as well.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah. And how about The Last OG? Tell us a little bit about that project.
Worked on The Last OG season 3. It was a pleasure working with Tracy. I got a lot of experience on there. Got to do a little bit of show running. It was a great experience. It was really fun. It was fun to do.
What's a project that you have not worked on that you would like to? Like, is there any genre of television or film that you want to go into that you haven't yet?
One show I would want to work on is Atlanta. I love that show. But I think I'm starting doing a little bit more dramas and actions. I've always wanted to, I've done a little directing, but I wanted to move a little forward on that, more on my directing, my acting.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, Craig, we want you to tell our audience where they can follow you on social media, how they can stay connected with you, all of that good stuff.
Well, I'm at Craig Wayans on all social media platforms. I'll be going a bit harder on my YouTube page coming up soon, but you could also catch me on Daddy's Issues.
All right. Okay. We want to thank Craig Wayans for stopping by. Make sure you follow him on social media and check out Daddy Issues. We have more of Talk It Up right after this. Welcome back to Talk It Up. Before you go, we got one more quick story for you. Regina King, actress, Oscar-winning actress, is actually set to star in and produce a biopic of Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman to serve in the U.S. Congress. How exciting is this biopic?
That is extremely exciting because we don't ever really get a behind-the-scenes look at the lives of Black women in the political space, besides, of course, Michelle Obama. But I think this is a perspective that we need to see for sure.
Especially with us having our first African-American vice president, female vice president in office. I think this is a really, really, really good story because She was actually the first woman to seek the nomination for President of the United States. That's an amazing accomplishment, and that's huge.
Right. Yeah, the great thing about Shirley Chisholm, I mean, aside from being the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Congress, that's huge in itself. She then decided that she was going to run for her party, which is the Democratic Party's nomination for president. Unfortunately, she didn't get it, but just to even set out and say that this is what I'm going to do, as Hillary Clinton said in 2016, you know, she put that first crack in that glass ceiling for ladies and women to hold public office. And when Hillary Clinton ran in 2016, she actually paid homage to Ms. Chisholm because of that. And of course, Kamala then stands on the shoulders of both Shirley and Hillary. So it's just this ongoing thing. So I just love the fact that Regina King, who is Oscar winner, Emmy winner, phenomenal actress, also phenomenal director. She is set to star and produce in this. And then it's highlighting such an amazing, iconic figure in American history.
It doesn't get any better than
It gets no better than
It's
that.
another story for our beautiful young queens to look up to.
Imagine, there are going to be young girls that are born now that will never know life before a black president, that will never know life before a female vice president, let alone a black vice president. So we're constantly at this point, like, changing the game. So I love this. This is going to be a good look for Regina King.
It will.
Yes.
So we want to thank Craig Wayans for stopping by on today's show. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for more Talk It Up!